Yep.
Doesn't matter. Salvi dunks it in. That's an RBI single, and the Royals lead 2-0.
What a way to start.
They couldn't have an easy, simple road series win, could they? Had to make it hard, had to bring everything down to Sunday. I mean, that's what happens after the Kansas City Royals lost to the Detroit Tigers tonight, 5-6, after a 5-run inning from the Tigers in the bottom of the 7th. So let's talk about it. Welcome to the Royals Recap. My name is Jacob Milham. I'm one half of the Royals Rundown podcast. If you're listening to this, you could have read about the game a lot sooner on RoyalsReview.com. Plus, you can follow along with them on X and on Facebook. And hey, don't worry about it. Eric Hosmer's out there taking pot shots like it's a ground ball. You can follow along with all of that over on X at Royals Review. So this was a very good start for the Royals. Let's put it simply. Up 3-1 for most of the game. Kind of felt like they were cruising on cruise control. Brady Singer was 1 inning shy of a quality start, but he went out there and did his job. Pitched 5 innings of 4-hit, 1-run ball. Did walk 3 guys, which wasn't great, but struck out folks. Wasn't missing a ton of bats. It's okay, though. It happens. He went out there and he did not put the Royals in an early hole. Meanwhile, the Royals got on Casey Mize early, who is a very good pitcher in his own right. And thanks to some pretty shoddy defensive play behind him, the Royals put up 3 runs on him. Only 2 earned, but 3 runs total. And then Angel Serpa came in, and hey, he looked pretty good. Only needed 9 pitches to get through an inning. And the fastball velocity was there. It was looking really good. And then Chris Stratton came in, and that's where things got dicey for the Kansas City Royals, to say the least. And I think dicey is a G-rated way of putting it. Starts off the inning by walking a batter, and allows a single. So now, oh boy, we have the go-ahead run at the plate right now in the veteran, Mark Canha. And what does he do? He goes and he singles, scores a run. Now it's 3-2, still in the Royals' favor. It's like, okay, this is getting a little interesting. Wencel Perez, he flies out to right. Finally, Stratton has an out to work with and a guy on first base. Now, this is where, in my armchair manager spot, this is where manager Matt Quatraro should have pulled Stratton. You have Kerry Carpenter coming to the plate, a lefty, which Stratton has not been good against lefties this season at all. He can handle his own against righties, and that's who he primarily faces, but lefties give him a lot of problems. Carpenter being a lefty, you have runners in scoring position. It's not a recipe for success. Besides, Stratton already faced his minimum. It's okay. It happens. Let's focus on getting the win. Right there, right? No, Stratton stays in and unfortunately keeps the line moving. Kerry Carpenter singles, scores Riley Green from second, moves over the runner. Now it's 3-3, tied ball game. Well, it's Stratton. He bounced back okay. Spencer Torkelson popped out real quick. Now we have 2 outs. Like, all right. Now how are we feeling here? Well, truthfully, if you look at the matchup on paper, Stratton should have had it okay. Matt Vierling, a righty, I wouldn't say not known for his power, but it's not like you see him in the lineup and go, hey, that's the guy. That's the guy we need to pitch around and be worried about. Well, he hit his second home run of the year off of Stratton. Gave the Tigers a 6-3 lead in the bottom of the 7th. And yeah, this was... We can celebrate all the times that the bullpen does their job immaculately and when the rotation does their job immaculately. But we also need to talk about when that doesn't happen. Okay, because I went back and looked at it after I watched it. Like, okay, what Like, what happened? How did that inning get away so quickly? And it was something that Cole Reagan's experienced against the Baltimore Orioles in his last start against them. It's a lot of soft contact, but well-placed balls. Okay, you look at it, and my first thought was, hey, maybe the Tigers are getting some hard hit balls off of them, and that's a good sign to pull your pitcher, especially when you look at matchups and things like that. No, Chris Stratton only gave up one hard hit ball, the fewest out of all Royals pitchers tonight. But he still gave up 4 hits and 5 earned runs in a 24 pitch inning. Like, that's the only time I think that Quatraro could have pulled him for, with good results, was after Perez popped out. After he got that out, and you go to another reliever, and I guess when you look at it in that moment, I didn't know who else they would have turned to. Okay, they used Will Smith last night. They had already pulled Angel Serpa. Who were they going to turn to? Okay, and I didn't have that answer. I would expect the Royals dugout to have that answer, someone there, whether it be the pitching coach, whether it be Quatraro or one of the other assistant coaches. Someone has that answer there of who do they need to turn to in case Stratton implodes. And they didn't pull him when they should have. Hindsight is 20/20, okay? If we wouldn't be having this conversation if Stratton had induced a ground ball and it turned into a double play. Okay, that's obviously what was expected. But that's not what happened. And the Royals' win-loss record takes a hit for it. Truthfully, I wouldn't say everyone in the pitching staff had a great night. Serpa had a good night. Singer had a very, very solid night. Matt Sauer, he didn't allow a run, sure, but he did walk 2 batters, which isn't, like, he doesn't have the put-away stuff that you would expect to coincide with that amount of walks. So that was a little frustrating, but all in all, it was the run scoring burden was on Stratton tonight. And you gotta point your finger, you gotta take your lump, and you keep it moving. Now, you see 5 runs, and that is an above average offensive output from the Kansas City Royals. And that primarily, actually, I wouldn't even say primarily, that all came from the top half of their lineup. Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, all had 2 hits and at least 1 RBI. Garcia had 2 himself. Vinny Pasquantino didn't have a hit tonight, unfortunately, didn't have a walk either, but he did have a sac fly. All right, so he helped the scoring effort. Outside of them, though, bottom half of the lineup didn't do jack shit. All right, Adam Frazier, good on him. Good on him for getting on SportsCenter top 10. Good on him for having a couple of decisive hits on Friday. Tonight, he didn't do nothing. Not a single thing to help. Hunter Renfroe. I was kind of wondering if we were going to see him in the lineup tonight. He didn't do nothing. Michael Massey, hey, kudos to him. He got a hit, scored 2 runs. He helped. Dairon Blanco certainly helped. 2 hits himself tonight, scored 1 run. Kyle Isbell didn't do nothing either. There has to be something at the bottom of the lineup, right? Just a glimmer. Something that says, okay, you know what? This isn't going to be a black hole at the plate for the next, 5 batters? We're looking at 5 easy outs right now. Because that's all folks are seeing. Adam Frazier, Renfroe, Massey, Isbell, Blanco even. I'll toss him in there. All of them are not... They're not guys that you are scared of at the plate. They don't produce at the plate. And Nelson Velasquez has in the season, but recently, he's a black hole in his own right. He hasn't done nothing for games. Now, Blanco did bounce back a little bit tonight. It's okay. He had a 2-hit effort. Believe it or not, his OPS of 666 is higher than Michael Garcia's. All right, he's getting limited opportunities, but he is producing when he does. And you have to commend that. But outside of that, the bottom half of the lineup ain't scaring nobody. There's no traits there that are scaring anybody. They didn't have the matchups tonight. It was just frustrating to watch. Because it felt like the Royals' bottom half of the lineup was completely overmatched. And that's not good. Plain and simple. So, where do we stand now? Where do the Kansas City Royals go from here? Well, they're 17-11 right now. They still have the edge in the AL Central over the Detroit Tigers. So there's that. They go into Sunday. You have a very, very good matchup on Sunday that I'll talk about later on. And maybe the Royals can win this road series. Let's start off the road trip on a good note. They lost the win streak. All right, they had a 4-game win streak heading into tonight's game. That's gone. Now, what are they going to do to bounce back? I know we can all talk about the moral victories. You do have to give credit. The bats came back against Foley, who got the save for the Tigers tonight, who hadn't allowed an earned run all year. He gave up 2 earned runs to the Royals and 3 hits. Okay, these weren't free bases. 3 hits. Those guys did what they could, and they gave the Royals a fighting chance in the game's end. But they wouldn't have had to do that if Stratton hadn't allowed all those base runners and ultimately that 3-run shot. And who left him there in that situation? I think we know the answer to that. Coming up on the other side of the ad break, we will hear from the man himself, manager Matt Quatraro, following tonight's loss. Stay tuned.
Well, I mean, that's a big question. The whole game, what I make of that is there was a lot that happened in that game. So I don't know where you want me to start.
Just your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough loss, but I mean, we had to take advantage of some of their mistakes that we didn't capitalize on, and they had one big inning, really, is what it boils down to. But our guys battled till the end.
Sorry, your bullpen's been pretty solid this year. Is this a game that you can comfortably say, like, we can just throw that away? That one inning, we're not going to harp on it. We're not going to pick it apart. Like, it sucked. It's over.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, Stratton's going to pitch big innings for us, and sometimes we're in those high leverage situations, it doesn't go your way. I mean, he's done this before. He's going to bounce right back at the next opportunity.
What do you think of Brady Singer tonight?
Yeah, he was battling. I mean, they made him work. He had good stuff. He had really good stuff. You come out of there after 5 innings with 1 run, it's pretty good.
And offensively, getting those 2 runs early, how important was it just to get a quick momentum on the board?
Well, it's good to score early. I mean, we had good situational hitting there in the first inning. We scored again in the second to go up 3. But as you saw, they struggled in the infield, made some misplays, and we didn't capitalize on them enough.
Is there a silver lining to be had that you guys rallied late? I mean, you didn't just give up and say, oh, they scored a bunch, we're done.
Sure. I mean, these guys are not giving up. I mean, they've been that way the whole year. I'm supremely confident in that. The good part about it is that to get a look at Foley, and score a couple runs, that's good for our guys to see him because he's really good. And for us to put up good at-bats against him is good.
So the mentality for tomorrow, just to flush it, come back out here and try to get it done again?
But do you have another one?
Nope.
Do you have an alternative? I mean, yeah, we're going to be here. We'll be ready to play.
Just left pitches over the middle of the plate. Those are big league hitters, and they did exactly what they're supposed to do. And I came in, just didn't execute, and they made me pay for it.
On the Bierling homer, was it a pitch that you wanted to just get inside, and he just got on top of it?
No, he did a great job of pulling his hands inside. So sometimes you just got to tip your cap on a great swing. But yeah, like I said, I just didn't get the ball where I needed to tonight, and they did damage.
Chris, for you specifically, you've had such a strong year other than the first outing. Is this a thing you can be comfortable with, just throwing it away and saying, just didn't have it tonight and I'm over it? Forget
Yeah,
it?
I mean, you got to be. This game is tough sometimes, you know. It comes at you, and you just got to take it one day at a time. It's just like in your career, and you go through the ups and the downs, and this is definitely one that I like to forget a lot quicker than the rest. So tomorrow, if my name's called, I'm going to go out and try to do my best then too as well.
Did you feel okay when you were in the bullpen warming up? I mean, you were ready to go hitting your spots, and it just didn't.
Yeah, honestly, felt good in the pen. I feel like I was right where I needed to be, just like I usually am, and just didn't have it today.
All right, y'all, let's get to these Spotify Q&As, and then we will talk about tomorrow's rubber match. So after every single Royals recap, I do ask y'all, what did you think about this game? And on Spotify, you have the chance to respond to that Q&A or our polls as well. And I read your responses on air. So Ginger620 says, it's nice to be on the other end of a late inning bullpen collapse for a change. More of that from Lugo and less of whatever that was from CB Buckner, please. Well, unfortunately, Ginger, we were on the wrong end of a late inning bullpen collapse this evening, excuse me. And then also my podcast co-host, Jeremy Greco, otherwise known as Hakias, did correct me on a point, so I do appreciate that. He said Lugo is under contract for next year. He can't opt out until after next season. And on last night's episode, I had originally gotten Lugo's and Waka's contracts switched up. So that is my fault, and I do apologize. So now let's look at Sunday's game. All right, first pitch, 12:40 Kauffman Standard Time up there in Detroit. Michael Wacha will be taking the mound against the lefty Tariq Skubal, who is having a great start to the year, and rightfully so. Much like Cole Reagans, Skubal is getting the AL Cy Young consideration early on in the season, and he's the Tigers' top guy for a reason. All right, let's see what Wacha can do up against him. And let's see if the bats can get to this lefty early on and take the road series. That is going to do it for tonight's Royals recap. Thank you very much for joining me. Once again, my name is Jacob Milham. Go follow Royals Review on X and on Facebook at Royals Review. And support all the work that goes on the site by visiting them at royalsreview.com. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And until next time, go Royals!